Rayman seems to be making a return, and many fans are incredibly excited. And while you can tally me as a part of being a group of those excited fans, there's a darkness looming that I think we kind of have to discuss. An elephant in the room, if you will. Now, before I even start, I have no issues with Rayman whatsoever. None. Zip. I think now is a great time for Rayman to make a return to the center stage and join his ever-growing family of platformer mascot IP making a comeback. But my concerns lie not with Rayman, but with a dark, shadowy cloud that looms over him. So overall, there's about 3, 4, 5... a lot of things that make me concerned when it comes to Rayman making his comeback. And they all revolve around one singular entity, and that is Ubisoft. So let's not delay and let me break it down. Now, I want to make it clear, I have teamed up and worked with Ubisoft in the past when it comes to review codes and numerous free games, and I was even brought in for a quick read and play test at Ubisoft Toronto many years ago. So just know and keep that in mind with what I'm about to say. Ubisoft, your business choices simultaneously terrify and anger me. I cannot stress to you how concerned I am that a modern Rayman game is currently in your hands. But it's not the devs. Nay, it's the suit and ties that manage the devs, the ones that want to jam a microtransaction into every single open orifice a game has. And I'm not even talking about your typical free-to-play multiplayer games. No. I'm legitimately talking about full-priced single-player experiences having a number of microtransactions added. Skins for characters? Why not? In-game currency to speed up your progress. Okay, yeah, sure, I want to finish the single-player game faster, so I'm going to pay money for that. A fancy-looking horse? Seriously? And that is before the fact that you create 6 different special editions for one singular game that literally requires a flowchart for you to figure out which version to get and what you get. And for some of these big expensive versions of the game, you don't even send a physical copy with them, but a nice little QR voucher code that tells you you can download the game. I can't even imagine the stress that you, Ubisoft, put on your employees when it comes to them showing off the early stages of a game to all of you. I can just imagine executives not even focusing on the gameplay, but focusing on where there's empty spaces in the menu so that they can see if they can jam some sort of a shortcut to some sort of useless microtransaction. Ubisoft is also known for, well, let's say very, very poor PR. They almost shoot themselves in the foot on a monthly basis with statements and decisions that simply perplex every single person that is on this blue marble hurtling through space. You may have heard some of these classic lines recently, such as Assassin's Creed Shadows getting delayed because Ubisoft has now become notorious for releasing lower quality games, telling gamers that they have to accept the fact of not owning their games, Skull and Bones being called the very first quadruple A game, the Ubisoft stock currently free-falling, and the creme de la creme, blaming gamers for the poor performance of Star Wars Outlaws because, and I quote, "In today's challenging market and with gamers expecting extraordinary experiences, delivering solid quality is no longer enough." The sheer amount of L's Ubisoft has been handed recently is enough for them to start their own alphabet. In fact, the recent amount of disastrous statements and decisions has literally caused the board of directors at Ubisoft to launch an internal investigation on the company itself to figure out why Ubisoft just can't seem to manage themselves. And need I remind you, this is the company that is currently handling Rayman. Now, let me get to my next point, and trust me, if you know this channel, this statement is going to make you raise an eyebrow, but I promise you it does make sense. My next concern is, it's a Rayman remake. I know, right? It sounds like I'm being a complete hypocrite, right? But let me explain. Remakes and remasters are fantastic ways to revitalize an entire game series. It allows us old fart gamers whose backs hurt when they get out of bed and scream at the Fortnites feel like a kid again. And it's a great way to introduce tried and true games to a brand new audience, which then leads to more popularity in the IP and in turn may cause more games to be made. But the problem is, and I think I can be pretty objective with this, remakes and remasters are typically far cheaper to make versus brand new titles. The story of the game is already there. The level designs are already established. And heck, if the company has access to the original source code, the amount of work can be reduced even more. Some games even take shortcuts and just remaster the original dialogue. And sometimes they actually do a fantastic job with it. And honestly, there is nothing inherently wrong with any of these techniques or the fact that remakes and remasters are typically cheaper to make. There have been numerous remakes over the years that have been absolutely fantastic that utilized all of these techniques. The problem is when the suit and ties of the industry see this and think that they can shovel out garbage with minimal effort to get a quick cash grab on nostalgic IPs that they own. And sadly, we have started to see a fair share of low effort remasters and remakes. Now, there are a number of different issues across a lot of these poorly made remasters and remakes. But a common theme for most of these poorly received games are coming from companies who are gigantic and or are poorly managed. Gee, I wonder what company fits the bill of, oh right, the company that's handling the Rayman remake. But wait, there's more! This next issue, which ties both into issues that we've talked about before, but also brings in a new loose thread, and that is Ubisoft never specified which game was being worked on. Just a game in the Rayman universe. Now, why does this propose a problem? Well, Rayman is an IP that doesn't quite have just one genre. The very first game was a 2D side-scroller. Then, Rayman 2 and Rayman 3 were 3D platformers. Then, Rayman Raving Rabbids came out and became a gigantic party game starring the Minion-esque rabbits, which a lot of people got angry at because Rayman Raving Rabbids basically took over the entire franchise for many years. However, Rayman did return, but returned in the 2D space again with Rayman Origins and its following sequel, Rayman Legends. So when Ubisoft says a remake in the Rayman universe, which game are they referring to? The 2D platformers or the 3D platformers? And herein lies the problem. There are many people who want to see Rayman return to the 3D platforming space, but there's also a lot of people that want to see Rayman continue in the 2D space and want to have their third Rayman Origins game. No matter which genre is picked, there's going to be fans who are going to be severely disappointed and let down. Or, knowing Ubisoft's track record, the Rayman Raving Rabbids option is still on the table, where everybody would be vastly disappointed. But, you know, that's on brand for Ubisoft. Additionally, beyond ports and just a collection of up-res games, Ubisoft currently doesn't have any remakes that have been really released. If I missed any, I didn't see any, and if I did, comment below and let me know. And of course, there are some apparently Assassin's Creed remakes that are currently in development, along with a Splinter Cell and a Prince of Persia remake, but nothing right now physically tangible. Basically, we don't know if Ubisoft knows what on earth they are doing. Let me give you an example as to why this is such a problem. When rumors of Spyro making his comeback in a remastered form started up, all we had to do was look at the Crash Insane trilogy and say, yeah, okay, it seems like they know what they are doing. And lo and behold, they did. They showed that they knew exactly what they are doing. Then, when CTR Nitro Fueled was announced, lo and behold, it also did great by yet another company within Activision. And once again, we saw Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 get remade, and again, they did great. Then when Blizzard dropped the ball so hard on Warcraft 3 Reforged, they brought Vicarious Visions on board to help with the Diablo 2 remake, simply because they didn't really trust their internal team anymore, which eventually actually led them to leading the project and fusing with Blizzard. And when the game came out, it did very, very well. So now when I hear that a property is getting remade by an Activision team, I can think, yeah, that'll probably do well, because Vicarious Visions, Toys for Bob, and Beanox all showed and proved that they can do it. Basically, they know what they're doing. The proof is in the pudding. But I can't say the same for Ubisoft, because, again, there's nothing for me to reference from their catalog of games. The only thing we can say is that the before-mentioned Prince of Persia remake for Sands of Time that was announced in 2020 was so bad that they had to pass it off to a new team. And then when that new team got a hold of the game, they thought it was so bad that they had to restart the whole project. So based on that, as that being the only evidence and the only thing that we know in terms of a full-scale remake from Ubisoft that I'm aware of, I'm kind of nervous for Rayman. Now, this doesn't mean that Ubisoft can't make a good game. In fact, the last game that Rayman was a guest of was Mario and Rabbids Sparking Hope, and those games did fantastic. And guess what? No egregious microtransactions. Probably because Nintendo was breathing down their necks. But you know what? Still, we'll call that a W. But since Sparking Hope, most of their games have been pretty much middle of the road when it comes to scores and sales, and especially for such a largely publicly traded company. And the only game that did really well critically for Ubisoft was Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. And guess what? They just had their entire team dissolved and redistributed to other projects because of poor sales. Ah, yes, that makes sense. The game with the best critic score and almost zero advertising gets canned. But Skull and Bones? Nah, that's our quadruple A flagship game, boy! The next thing I need to point out is, well, and I think most of you can kind of see this from a mile away, especially from what I just showed you, but once I tell you what project they recently launched, you're going to start laughing, or crying, or maybe a bit of both. But Ubisoft is painfully tone deaf as a company, and in regards to making a game with a fan base like Rayman, especially a remake, that is a problem. Picture this: Ubisoft recently launched a game called Champions Tactics. When you watch the trailer, it just looks like a turn-based D&D mini tactics game, right? Nothing terrible, nothing bad, and if you were to extract all the information possible from the trailer, nothing terrible stands out from it, right? Except there's one small, tiny detail that they forgot to include in the trailer. Just one small wrinkle that just probably just slipped their mind just a little bit. The figurines are NFTs. I'm dead serious. Ubisoft released a Web3 blockchain game that allows you to use cryptocurrency to purchase and play with NFTs in 2024. Yeah, Ubisoft, you're literally 3 years late to the party. NFTs aren't even worth the non-existent paper they're printed on. According to this article, the NFT minis have a range of prices, with most of them costing around $7. But there is apparently some that can cost upwards to $63,000. Oh baby, what a bargain! Remakes and remasters require people to know their audience and the community that they're making it for. And most importantly, they need to listen to them. Rayman fans have been chomping on the bit for years, and they are very, very loud with what they want to see. But if Ubisoft's market research can't even see that they missed the NFT party by almost 4 years, along with the social laughing stock that they have become and the social taboo that they are, I am horribly concerned that they won't hear loud and blatant fan requests, wants, critiques, desires, or anything. And to clarify, I don't think it's the developers directly behind the project that's the problem that won't be able to hear what the fans want, but the team that manages them from up above. Again, the suit and ties. But Rayman isn't the only game that I'm worried about that's being mismanaged. I'm also concerned for how Banjo-Kazooie is being handled. If you want to know what I mean, you can check out this video right here. You may be shocked as to what you'll learn about it.